Hello, wrestling fans. This is the PWZ podcast. I am your host, Rick Del Santo, and this week we have a very special guest in No Mercy, Hunter Tarca. We had a great conversation on his time with Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling and the Battle Academy, and starting to work outside of his home of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, such as Coliseum Pro Wrestling, winning the heavyweight title there, and then making it to Northeast Wrestling and what that's like. Not to mention working with his friends in the Battle Academy, formerly known as the Battle Academy, I should say, Jake Lynn, Lorenzo, and Skyler, plus so much more. Speaking of Coliseum Pro Wrestling, there is a couple of matches that were announced Friday night, April 28th, at the Elks Lodge in West Haven, Connecticut. Coliseum returns, so I urge you all to go out and get your tickets. The last show was amazing. It was a packed room. So I really want everybody to hurry up and get down there. This was, I hope this one is going to promise to be a great show. So I want you all there. The two matches that were announced so far are the CPW Strong Will Championship, a match. Chris Battle will be taking on Bobby Buffet. Also, the Alley Fights champion, Sunset Steve Garcia, taking on the Premier Luis Leon. So those are the two matches that were announced here. Right now, we're going to keep our eyes open, and anything that is announced, we will bring it here. So, and check out the social media, Coliseum Pro Wrestling, at Instagram and on Facebook. But before we get to this interview with Hunter Tarca, I want you all to check this out.
Hey, this is the one-man gold mine, the one-man enterprise of professional wrestling and all entertainment, Flynn Hendricks. And you better believe when I'm looking for a good podcast to listen to, I go to my own. I go to the I Know You Hear Me podcast hosted by me, Flynn Hendricks. That is such a fresh perspective for how you should look at life, too. I love that. And then when I'm feeling spooky, I go to my other podcast, Tales from the Haunt, where I want my head shoved inside a 15-pound silicone mask. More. I want to have a bucket of sweat coming off me at the end of the night than just Jeff.
Dogs don't lay eggs, Flynn.
I hate you so much. Talk to other scare actors about what it takes to get into the world of scare acting. So if you're curious about how people became professional wrestlers, actors, prioritized their mental health, became entrepreneurs, avoided burnout, or got into scare acting, you need to go check out I Know You Hear Me and Tales from the Haunt. Available on all podcasting platforms. And I know you hear me.
Wrestling fans, promoters, wrestlers, and anyone who enjoys pro wrestling now have something new to be excited about. The Wrestling Fans International Association, the WFIA, is back. WFIA is an association that exists to promote, grow, and support professional wrestling throughout the world. Membership is free. Your membership includes a free digital bi-monthly publication of the Wrestling Fan News newsletter, association updates, voting privileges, and much more. Please go to thewfia.org, that's THEWFIA.org, and become a member today.
Hi, this is Bob Smith. You might remember me from my years at Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. Well, now I've started a brand new podcast called The Outdated Wrestling Hour. Yes, we're going to take a whimsical look back at the wrestling figures, stars, and trends from years gone by. We're talking 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and a whole lot more. There's going to be laughs. There's going to be fun. There's going to be action. You name it. Please tune in for the Outdated Wrestling Hour wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome, wrestling fans, to the PWZ podcast. I want to welcome No Mercy, Hunter Tarca, to the show. How are you today?
Good, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, I'm really happy to be having you here today. This is something I wanted to do for quite some time, and I'm glad to finally sit down with you.
Yeah, dude, this is going to be a fun one. I've been watching your show since I got into indie wrestling. You've had some really good interviews. I'm excited.
I appreciate that. And right now I just feel like it's growing immensely over the last couple months, and I've got some really great stuff planned. So keep an eye out there. So, and of course, I'm a huge supporter of you and your buddies there, formerly known as the Battle Academy, but we're going to get into that.
Yeah, I figured as much.
We're going to run down a little bit of the history of you in the business and the short time you've been in the business. But first, my thing is the way that you got into professional wrestling and how you got interested in, because everybody's got a different story, and I have, the way they've gotten into it. And how did that happen with you?
I was actually introduced to wrestling a little bit later than a lot of fans and a lot of people, in their lives. I didn't start watching wrestling until I was about in high school. Like it was, a lot of people I know that are fans started like when they were kids, watching it, that kind of thing.
Right.
But it just something that, I growing up, I didn't watch a whole lot of TV. So I wasn't really introduced to anything entertainment wise till later in life now. But I started looking for schools because I was like, man, this is really cool. I'd love to do this. Looking for schools when I was about 18. Looked up PWA, saved up a little bit of money, went to go check it out, and PWA had closed. So I kind of put that on the back burner. And then right before COVID, I was about 20 years old. I decided, I was in school. School wasn't really working out for me. So I decided to go look up a place to train. And that was PAPW. Went down, met everybody. It was really cool. And then COVID hit. And everything got shut down. And so I had to wait a few months. But then once the school opened back up, I started training, and the rest is history.
It was a very strange time for professional wrestling as a whole during that time. But, PAPW had shut down for a little while, but then they started running shows again. And then that's ultimately, I guess you could say, is shortly after that, that's when you and your friends in the Battle Academy made your debut, or impact, I should say, on professional wrestling. Yeah,
March 27th, 21. So that 2-year anniversary is coming up. Actually, there's a show down at PAPW on the 25th. So it's kind of like my 2-year anniversary show.
Wow. And I'm trying to remember exactly. I just remember you guys. Who did you nut shot? Somebody nut shotted somebody.
I didn't nut shot anybody.
It wasn't you.
I don't do that. That's not my MO. That was always Skylar's deal.
Right.
They nut shotted Flash Waller.
That's right.
It was Chris and him for, at the time, Flash's Alley Fights title. We get involved with the ref down. I think it was actually Ref Bill.
Yeah.
And Chris wins the belt.
That's right. I should have looked at my video because I actually did record that myself. And that you guys went into this great run, I guess you could say, teaming up with Chris and being a Battle Academy, in which I was fully invested in that. I thought everything you guys were, that to me was an unexpected moment in professional wrestling. And one of the things I love about professional wrestling is the surprises, and that's what sells you in professional wrestling, gets you interested. So I didn't really expect that to necessarily happen. And then right from there, I said, man, this is just awesome. And that was possibly the greatest feud that I've witnessed in Paradise Alley.
Wow. Well, those are pretty kind words, man. There's been some really good feuds there. But yeah, that was a blast. Like you said, that kind of surprise debut. We were very fortunate to get that kind of opportunity. Most guys start, and, they get a couple matches, that kind of thing. We right out the gate, we're in a feud with, at the time, the biggest stars in the company. And obviously you see what they're doing now too. So they've only continued to grow. But yeah, man, that was a really, really fun time. Also, the compilation you made about our feud there was excellent. I've watched that back a few times. So
I think I could probably
thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. I could probably go back and add more to it. I didn't even think about that. You're right, because I think that it hadn't ended there either. I think when I put the video together, because you guys kept going, and I just had that idea. The brief history is what I did, and then it kept going for a while. And I mean, that, like you said, look at what those guys are doing now. The Haven and Flash and Kylan. Those guys are on TV and traveling basically all through the United States and IWTV every week. The IWTV, tag team champions, and those are some really good guys to start off your career with in the business.
Yeah, working with them, very exciting. Obviously, it made things a lot easier for us because as over as they were as babies, that really just got, us attacking them first. Really set us up to do well. But yeah, like you say, IWTV tag champs and about every other tag team title around. They got them all now. So
I know.
I'm really happy for those guys, man.
Yeah, it's incredible. That's not to shy away too much from yourself, but I remember seeing Flash for about a good 4 or 5 years or so, and now look where the hell him and Kylan are now. It's pretty incredible to see these local guys all over and getting recognized everywhere, basically.
Yeah, I'm really happy for those guys, man. They deserve it.
So outside of that, do you also, tell me you guys had, what was it, Type 1 to None this past year? Yeah. You guys had a falling out with your leader in Battle Academy. Or I wouldn't say that wasn't a falling out. It was actually a couple months later. But however, basically you were forced to hit, what the hell was the guy's name? Jesus Christ, I'm drawing a blank. With the title. Yeah, Bloodsaw with the belt. That's right, Bloodsaw. That was it. Because it was Battle and Bloodsaw's rematch, basically. And they put on an incredible match, and then you did not want to be a part of that, it seemed. And you didn't think it was the right thing to do, but they made you do that. And how did you feel about that?
I was, because before all that, Flash and Kylan and the Haven, as we were coming up, they were very helpful in our training. They were there with us, bringing us up. And, Chris gave us the opportunity to, come up with him, join his group, and, do what we did. And looking back, there was, I would say, a good amount of guilt about a lot of that. I've been able to work things out with Flash, Kai, and the Haven, and what we did, and I'd say they forgave us for what our part in it was. But while I was doing that and working that out with them, we were doing it to other people. As just to me, it was getting old. Like I didn't want to be. That's not who I am. I'm not the type of guy to hit somebody from behind or, cheap shot somebody. If I got a problem with you, I'm going to look you in your eye and I'm going to tell you. If it comes to a fight, it comes to a fight. But so fast forward to Type 1 to None, I was already upset because I was supposed to be in the PAPW tag team title Fatal 4-Way. Right. And he replaced me with Jake, which is fine. Obviously I want my boy Jake to have the opportunities, but, that was a match that I was announced for. So I was prepared and excited for that. And then, in the back, he's telling me how he wants me to get involved, make sure that he keeps the title, that kind of thing. And I was just really, really over it. I'm just, I was getting fed up. And it culminated to that moment with Bloodsaw. And, man, that was really tough. I really had to just kind of just close my eyes and swing. And I regret it. I said something to Bloodsaw not too. It was recently. I said something about it to him. We talked about it, but
right. And I believe it was 3 months later at I wasn't at this show, so forgive me for the Disrupted, maybe, where the basically the Battle Academy exploded entirely, and you, Jake, and Lorenzo went your separate ways from Chris.
Yeah. Yep, that's correct. January of this year, I want to say the 28th is the exact date. I'd actually taken a little bit of time off. There was an alley fights me and Lorenzo teamed the month prior. We actually lost the match, and there's a little miscommunication where Lorenzo kicked me in the face, and with everything going on, I snapped at him. Convinced that he kicked me on purpose because not too long before that he kicked Skylar, and I just seeing red. Fast forward, I come back to Paradise Disrupted, and decided that it wasn't me that had to go; it was Chris that had to go, and we did what we did.
What is it like being teamed up with those three? Jake, Skylar, and Lorenzo. You guys were in the same class training, and what was it like? I mean, you guys have a really good chemistry together, I believe, and I thought you guys quickly became one of my favorites in Paradise Alley, and actually on the independent scene in Connecticut. I've spoke very highly of you guys throughout the 2 years that you guys have been around, or just about 2 years. So, like I said, the chemistry really seemed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
go ahead.
That like you said, that comes with. I think I signed up. I started training in May of 2020. Jake was within a week of that, and then Lorenzo maybe a month after, and Skylar right behind him. So we all started practically at the same time, and coming up together, working on every little detail together. Step by step through the training process, we were, basically joined at the hip. So
Right.
we were molded in wrestling together.
And you team up with him outside of that company as well. You've been to Test Your Strength together. You've been to Coliseum, and have you guys been to Wrestling Open, or was it one of you guys that was?
We did. Me and Lorenzo did we had a tag match against Stetson Ranch, which was Stetson and BRG.
Right, I thought so. What was your experience there? Because I think I watch that show on a weekly basis. I think it's a phenomenal show. It gives a lot of guys, especially from our area, a lot of exposure on a major platform for independent wrestling.
Yeah, that place was phenomenal, unbelievably professional.
Yep.
A lot of awesome talent in that locker room to mingle with and talk to and learn from. So for a guy as new in the business and as green as I am, to talk to guys like that, throughout up and down the card. Crowbar was there. Got a chance to have a quick conversation with him.
That's right. Devin Storm. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was and that I find a lot of similar opportunities over in Northeast where I get the chance to. I find myself to be very fortunate to have a chance to talk to just unbelievable talent like that.
You guys have been put on some pretty big shows over there from Northeast. I mean, I'm guessing Chris brought you in, correct? Or put out the word for you guys, I'm guessing, and correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's been there. I mean, he's been there for years and years. I remember when him and his brother were tagging over there, and that's how far back. Like, I remember him. So what's it like working with? I mean, Northeast is probably the biggest indie in the Northeast, or at least out of this area, and they run some of the biggest shows in Connecticut. So, what is your experience there? And you do have a match coming up. I think was it at the end of the month here or
Saturday? 6
this
days.
Saturday. Oh wow!
It'll be me versus beautiful Brad Baylor this Saturday.
Oh, beautiful Brad,
Bethany Town Hall.
Yeah.
So Northeast, I've been there for almost a year now, actually.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of crazy because, like you said, it is, if not the biggest, one of the biggest indie promotions in the area. They bring in. I've met, guys that not only did I grow up watching and idolize, but even guys today that are, just unbelievable talents that are signed, and I get to talk to and learn from those guys. Ranging from I met the Hardy Boys last year, and Enzo and Cass and guys like that. And just just yesterday, I had a conversation with guys like Dan Moff and Matt Taven and guys like that. So, and the crowds there are always electric.
Yeah.
So it's just from top to bottom, start to finish. It's a great experience.
Dan Moff is a legend in the area. Like literally, that guy he's put on, when he was in Ring of Honor years ago, he put on some bangers, and like I said, the guy works on some of the stiffest matches I've ever seen in the independents, even today. I mean, did you see his match against Trayvon?
Yeah, I was there. I was watching that backstage. I was there for both of them.
Okay. I was the one where he dropped the title. I was at the one where he dropped the title to Trayvon. The hell's the guy's last name? Jordan.
Jordan. Yeah. I actually went up to the ring during his celebration. I was actually out there.
Were you?
I was. Yeah. I was like incognito. I was in like normal human clothes, not my tights.
Gotcha.
So, I think I had a hat on too. So, but
I mean, there was a lot of chaos going on there once that happened. That pinfall happened. So, and I thought it was amazing, literally, because I was there with Fogman. You know him, and literally when that 3 count hit, he and I just looked at each other like we did not expect that to happen at all.
Yeah, they that was very, very unexpected, but a very welcome surprise. That guy is
Yeah.
Trayvon is phenomenal, and when I heard he got hurt not too long after winning it, I was heartbroken for him because
Yeah,
he's a wonderful human being,
he
and
is.
he deserved that as much, if not more, than anybody. And I hope he heals up quick so he can get back out there and win that thing back.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump over to Coliseum Pro Wrestling. You and Lorenzo entered the tag team tournament, and then uh, you guys won the titles at the end of the night, correct?
We
Is that
did, yes,
yeah?
yes, we
And
were the
then
inaugural tag champs.
yeah, and then soon after, Jake replaced you in the team, and then you coming in for a singles run there. We'll get into the second part of that. But what was the reasoning behind that?
So a little earlier, we talked about the in December when I took a little bit of time off. I didn't know when I was going to come back.
Okay.
I just had to handle a lot of personal stuff. It just worked out that I could come back to the next Paradise Alley show, but I didn't know how long I was going to be gone, if I was going to miss the next Coliseum show. So I told Jake in my stead, so that way we wouldn't have to relinquish the titles and take away all the hard work Lorenzo has done. I had Jake replace me.
All right. I think Jake is a guy he's got a lot of charisma. That guy. He's good at riling up the crowd. As a heel, he was very good at riling up the crowd, and now as a baby face, I think it's delivering quite well. I think he's working both parts. He's very good at what he does.
Yeah, he's something else, ain't he?
Yeah, I mean,
he's a character.
He definitely is. He has me dying half the time when he's out there, whether he's talking shit or what have you. I would be dying laughing because I get it, So
yeah. Well,
yeah,
traveling with him, he's like that 24/7, 365. That's just him, man. And when I'm out there, I'm generally not laughing because I'm in the zone. But like when we're on the road, nobody makes me laugh like that guy. That guy is an absolute riot.
yeah. So actually, when you said that you were away for a little bit, you came back. Was it last month? I think Coliseum ran their first show of the year, and there was a nice surprise at the end of the night. You came in and won the Coliseum Pro Heavyweight title.
Sure did.
Not as a match that was announced, but you put out a challenge to then champion Lucas Chase. I thought that this was an amazing part. This was this show, mind you, is probably my favorite show that Coliseum had put on. It was top to bottom, just a really good show, and then this added extra to that, which I thought was amazing. And that room went freaking crazy when you hit that 3 count. It really did.
Yeah, that probably the top moment in my career to date. Winning that title there. I had a lot of family in the crowd. That wasn't something that I anticipated doing. I had watched that match from the back. There was a little, kind of peeking through the curtain because Lucas Chase and Ray Pittman was the scheduled main event, and they tore it down. Had a great match. I was still dressed because I'd just been out with Jake and Lorenzo. They just defended the titles against Hustle and Muscle, and I go sit down. I'm taking the tape off, and I'm kind of half listening to what Lucas is saying. And he goes, he said something along the lines of, "Man, that was easy. I could go again. This locker room doesn't have anything on me, yada, yada," his whole thing. And I'm sitting there thinking, my match was first. I'm feeling pretty fresh. I could probably go again too. So I looked around, looked at myself, picked myself up and ran right out and said, "You know what? Let's go. You want to go again? So do I. Put that thing on the line. Let's get to business." And we had a quick little match. And I was the better man that time.
So this is your first singles title, and you defeated Lucas Chase, who this is a guy that's been on AEW TV. This guy has been trained under somebody like Dustin Rhodes. You've been in the ring with him prior to this, right?
Never one-on-one.
Never one-on-one.
We'd been, and the tag matches that we'd been a part of together were like 8-man. So my
Okay.
interaction with him in the ring was very, very minimal.
Right. So what was it like defeating someone of this, I guess, caliber?
Crazy,
Yeah.
man. Like you said, that dude's he's going all over the place. You
Yeah.
know, trained by Dustin Rhodes. I mean, you said it. The guy's, you know, one of the top guys in not only New England but, you know, branching out into the United States. Somebody who in my opinion, will be, you know, has the potential to be signed here in the near future. Like, he's a phenomenal talent, and be able to get one on him is words can't really describe that feeling.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to keep doing the praises of someone like Lucas Chase, but he is, like you said, I think he's TV ready. He's been one of my favorites in the area for quite some time. The guy has like an old school persona, you know what I mean, when it comes to professional wrestling and putting on that old school style of feel. Yeah,
no, I give him all that praise. He can be a scumbag, but you know, he's a hell of a talent, and he's gonna make some waves somewhere. That's for sure.
It's roughly 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? A week ago. Well, you took part in the Big Jim Memorial show. You came in as part of the tournament to enter the Battle Royal. You didn't make it all the way to the final. Obviously, you didn't make it. You weren't the winner of the Battle Royal. Pardon me. Sorry.
No,
that was
not
saved for Stevie Legend. But what was it like putting on, basically being a part of an event in tribute to someone that was very important to Paradise Alley, Big Jim Anderson? And, you know, he was very close with Mario and Roma. And so did you know Jim at all? And what was this like being part of this event?
I did know Jim. He actually took me a lot under his wing when I had first started. When I came in, I was roughly 200 or so pounds. You know, I wasn't a huge guy. And he saw me bump around a little bit, and he actually pulled me aside and helped design a good workout and a general idea for a diet to help build up my physique. And that was like the first day I met him. Mm-hmm. You know, I'd hardly known him, and this is what he's doing for me. So, you know, him and I became fairly close over the short time that I got to know him. And when I first debuted, he was injured, and he actually sat in the crowd, and he was sitting behind my mom, and my mom was a nervous wreck, and he did a lot to help calm her nerves, and that meant the world to me. But when it comes to the show, I wasn't actually scheduled. I wasn't actually booked to be on the show originally. It was relatively close to where I live, so I stopped by to say hello. You know, I wanted to watch the Big Jim Memorial, and somebody had backed out, and I got thrown into the mix. And getting to compete for a cup in his honor was very special to me because of how special he was as a person to me. And there isn't a day where I get in a ring where I don't think about him.
I think that's a lot of wrestling in the area now, especially anytime like a Paradise Alley show happens where he was a very important part of that brand. You know what I mean? We all think of him. You know what I mean? That the shows are not the same without him there, whether he's clotheslining Zachariah Gibbs' head off or whatnot. That's my last memory of his match.
Yeah.
Where he almost killed him.
Yeah. Thank God. Thank God he got rid of Zachariah for a little while. But,
right.
He was special, man. There was no other word for him. He's greatly, greatly missed.
Absolutely. I want to ask you about your two, I guess you say teachers, guys that have trained you, Mario Mancini and Paul Roma. What is it like working with these guys from TV? You know, or from the guys that have been on TV in the WWF and Paul with WCW and whatnot. What's it like training under these guys? Because I understand that Paul can be a pretty serious trainer at times, and Mario teaches a lot of the old school aesthetics and stuff like that. So
Yeah, Mario is very much the fundamentals of wrestling and how to behave in the business,
yeah,
and psychology and that kind of thing. And Paul is more of the drill instructor of the two.
right.
If you mess it up, it's go over there and do 100 squats or whatever. So
Wow.
you have to graduate to get to Paul from Mario. But no, they're both incredible teachers. They've both done so much for me and other guys and gals that have come out of Paradise Alley. And there's places closer and there's other great training facilities, but I'm sure glad I went to this one because their knowledge and for the business and their level of love for the students that they show is it's through the roof. It's through the roof.
Yeah. So you said earlier that you got into professional wrestling, I guess, later in your 20s, you said?
I started training when I was 20. I started watching as a fan when I was about 13 or 14.
Okay. What influenced you, or what did you first discover as far as like watching at that time period?
The first thing I remember watching was the Raw where The Rock came out and revealed the new title. That was the first memory I have of watching wrestling.
Okay.
And then it led to the setup eventually of Undertaker and Punk, and I remember being really into that feud. And then obviously the second Rock, Cena, and that kind of thing. So basically just like WWE,
Right.
that kind of thing. Raw, SmackDown.
You weren't aware of like independent wrestling or anything like that prior to?
No, I wasn't that at all. I didn't. I thought it was kind of like a thing where you train, you get ready, and then you go for a tryout. And it wasn't until I was late in high school, if not already graduated high school, before I realized, oh, there's schools that run shows, and I can practice that way and work my way up the ranks.
Right. When you so you're really relatively new to independent wrestling as a whole, basically.
Yeah, relatively new.
So,
like I said, just a couple of years before I even started. I didn't even know that it really even existed.
So do you pay attention to a lot of the stuff that goes on outside of I guess the majors these days?
I try to.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even really follow that much of the majors.
Right.
Personally, it's not because I don't like it. It's not because I just run a lifestyle where I'm not really able to watch. Like I work on a farm, so I'm doing that basically
Right.
sun up to sundown. I come home. I either go to the gym or work out, or I go to training or whatever. So most of my wrestling consumption is, what I see scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or that kind of thing. So I try to keep up, with everything, but it's hard just in my life right now to sit down and watch, 3 hours of Raw or 2 hours SmackDown, just where I'm at.
It's very time consuming to sit down and watch something like Monday Night Raw these days at 3 hours.
Right. Yeah. 3 hours, a long time.
I know I made this joke here several times on this show, but I end up trying when I do watch it, I started about a half hour to 45 minutes in, and I just fast forward through all the stuff that I don't necessarily want to see. And it ends up usually being about a 20-minute program after. That's how much I fast forward through. Because it's gotten to the thing, I mean, I'm a bit older. I've been watching wrestling for close to 40 years now, probably if not more. But, and today, there's a lot of professional wrestling out there now, more than there ever was when I was a kid. Everybody's on a streaming service, all these other companies, and and then there's just a ton on cable as well. I can't keep up with everything, so I try to watch what I can or watch what I prefer. And then, of course, I try to keep up on as much local independent stuff as I possibly can, go to as many shows as I possibly can. But, I'm not always able to. So it's just there's so much wrestling, it's hard to consume it all.
For sure. And that's another part of it. Like you said, is like I follow all the majors. I follow a lot of independent things on Instagram, and I scroll through for whatever time I spend on social media, and I try and consume as much as I can, but it's tough. There's like you said, there's just so much. Which is kind of cool to see that wrestling is booming that much, that it's everywhere, but at the same time it's hard to keep up.
When I was a kid, there was basically like 5 or 6 promotions I was able to watch. There was WWF, there was NWA, there was AWA, World Class, and this is all just on regular cable television. But now, with the advent of what's it called, streaming services and whatnot, everybody is basically able to watch anything. So it just adds to all that stuff. It's kind of wild to think about.
Yeah, man, wrestling's everywhere. It's everywhere you look now, and I love it. I love seeing
Me too.
it.
I love the business of professional wrestling. I think sometimes my wife might think I'm a little bit crazy because I sit there and I'll bring up stuff and she'll look at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Never mind. She doesn't get it. She thinks I spend too much time doing this stuff, but I don't think she understands that there's you have to be kind of a special person, not special, but a different person to be able to tolerate that much professional wrestling.
Yeah, there's a certain level of passion that goes into wrestling that probably doesn't go into a lot of other sports. When you watch things like baseball's coming up, most people just watch their MLB team.
Yep.
Not people don't watch the minors or go watch games from out in Europe or Asia or wherever.
Right.
Wrestling fans will watch Raw Monday and tune into rewatch Dark or Wednesday's Dynamite, Friday's SmackDown and Rampage, and that's just the main two. There's, like you said, countless other promotions just on demand that we can just sit there and watch all day.
You could basically, I think there's something like 20 something hours of regular television programming on cable, between maybe even 30, between WWE, their 2 programs, and then Impact, and then Dynamite, and Rampage, and whatever else I'm not mentioning. But it's pretty wild to think about. Who do you think in the area? Who do you think in the area is just really awesome, then going on and just basically going to be a star here in the independent professional wrestling? Who do you prefer watching here in our area? I think I worded that wrong.
We talking like up and comer, or guy that's like on the cusp of maybe getting signed? Like, what do you mean?
Why don't we go with the first one first, and then you can go back to the up and comer? Yeah,
up and comer. We got some really talented up and comers that are just getting started over at Paradise Alley. We got Maine Marbury, who is unbelievably athletic.
I've seen him
really
a couple
talented.
times. I think he's really good he's only been in the business a couple months.
Yeah, he's only just started getting on shows, and I think I was his first match. He was at a Taco Fest.
Okay.
And I remember actually having a blast with that. Like, he was, and sitting there thinking while we were doing that, like, wow, this kid's, especially for how green he is, even greener than me. I was like, wow, this guy's like really athletic. This guy's gonna be one to watch. Kevin Kidd was another one. Those are 2 main guys that are just getting started out of Paradise Alley. I think they both done Coliseum as well.
Yes, the last show, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, both did phenomenal jobs at that. Over at TOS, I really enjoy guys like Mark Alexander, a guy like that. He's really good. I really enjoy his stuff. And man, just sitting here, I could sit here and talk to you for hours about, guys like that, and then there's the, guys that are more established, Flash Colin King, The Haven, Lucas Chase, guys like that are just unbelievable.
Don't forget,
like I said, I could go here for hours and talk about that kind of thing.
Don't forget about Ichiban as well. You mentioned all those guys, and that guy is killing it. I think every time I see that guy, that match that he had with Red Sawyer just a couple weeks ago in Tough and Talented went all over the arena, and I just thought it was just very awesome. It really was.
Yeah, dude, Ichiban, like I said, I could go for hours, and I could probably do 1 hour by itself about Ichiban. He's incredible. I'd love to be in the ring with him one day. I think that would be a lot of fun. But yeah, man, he's crazy, man. He's unbelievably talented.
Very athletic. Yeah,
unbelievably athletic.
Yeah,
just a joy to watch and be around.
Yeah, he's done some incredible. I mean, he wrestled, I believe. The last Test of Strength show I went was the Waterbury, I think, last year, and he wrestled I think he wrestled the VSK, if I remember correctly. And it was the opening match, and it was literally went about 20 minutes, and it was just an incredible match. And then they put him on a show or in a match against freaking Low Key, which, it's Low Key. The guy's a legend, so, and that match in itself was also incredible.
Yeah, he's got a list of bangers, It just doesn't seem that's not going to stop anytime soon. So,
do you have any dream matches that you would love to be a part of?
Well, one match that's on the top of my head right away that I'd like to do is me versus Chris Battle.
I would love to see that. That's probably, I would assume at some point this is going to happen.
I would love to have that happen. I think that's the only way we can really settle what's going on between us. Other dream matches, we talked about Ichiban. I'd love to go one-on-one with Kylan King. Those are some of the independent guys. I'd like to have a full match with Lucas Chase. That's the only complaint I have about that match is it was too short. I wish we would have went a little longer. But off the top of my head, and there's just, like I said, I'm countless guys. I'm definitely going to leave somebody out, but like Kylan King, Flash Wall, I'd like to go one-on-one with him again. Dude, I'm blanking. This is terrible. But,
that's all right. There's a lot of guys. Connecticut is really hot right now. There's a lot of
it's packed full of guys. It's packed full.
And we have, I think, more independent promotions out of Connecticut than I think we've ever had. There's Paradise Alley, there's Coliseum, there's Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I know I'm missing one. Test of Strength. There's one more, but I'm drawing a blank. I don't really consider Northeast a Connecticut promotion, even though they run the majority of their shows here, I believe. So what's your experience, and what do you feel about all these companies running here in Connecticut? I think that makes Connecticut even hotter and bigger, and gives there's a lot of network that could be happening here in the world of in Connecticut professional wrestling, basically.
Yeah, man, it's Connecticut has become kind of a hot spot. There's just so much going on here, and all of it being under the shadow of the big building down the southern part of the state, but like you said, Coliseum, Paradise Alley, Test of Strength, there's Tough and Talented, you can just keep going and going and going. All those places put on phenomenal shows. And, man,
yeah,
it's almost overwhelming, how much we got in Connecticut,
It is. It's the only thing that bothers me is when some of these companies end up running shows on the same day as each other, because then I can't, then I got to choose. And I'll be honest with you, I choose the one that's closest to my home because it's a shorter ride. And that would be Paradise Alley, to be honest with you, because that runs, I used to be about 15 minutes away from there. Now I'm about 25 because we've moved last fall. But it's still, a shorter ride than if I'm going to West Hartford for Test of Strength or whatnot. Waterbury is even further. It's about a 40-minute drive from where I am in Wallingford. So, but it's an incredible. I think we have more wrestling in Connecticut than we've had in over 25 years. Connecticut has a huge history. New England has a huge history, and it's just Connecticut's just a huge part of that at this particular time. We're making history here in Connecticut.
I couldn't have said it better myself, dude. Like this has been a great place to start my career.
Yeah.
Because the amount of opportunity is seemingly endless.
Yeah. So what do we have in store for Mr. Hunter Tarca?
Got 2 more dates this month. Obviously, we brought it up. I'm me one-on-one with beautiful Brad Baylor over at Northeast this Saturday, Bethany Town Hall. And then I'll be Paradise Alley is running their next show, March 25th. My match has not been announced yet, so we'll hopefully know that sooner than later. But yeah, that's what I got in the immediate future. A couple more Northeast shows the following month. Going to try and expand out.
Yeah.
Over this next year. Trying to get to. I haven't done a show in Rhode Island yet, so I'm trying to look out there. Trying to finish out New England and move west.
That's incredible. I mean, there's a lot of really good wrestling out in Rhode Island as well.
Yeah. So hoping to get an opportunity out there.
Yeah. I guess that's it. So how can people find No Mercy?
So on Facebook, just Hunter Tarca. On Twitter and Instagram is at the Hunter Tarca, all lowercase. And that's all I got for now. I ain't got no YouTube, none of that stuff. I don't know how to work any.
You should put it on the. You should definitely form a YouTube and try to get get your stuff out there. I got a ton of matches sitting on my my drive. I could send your way. So
I would love that. I also just bought this bad boy here.
There you go.
To start filming stuff. So hopefully we can get this, wear this one out, with matches.
Yeah. I mean, how important do you think that things like social media and what's that thing called, YouTube, are important to guys like such as yourself in independent wrestling?
I'd say it's pretty important. It kind of almost puts a number on how big your following is.
Right.
And it's self-advertisement. I don't gotta, I can promote myself freely there with no limitation. So
yeah,
all it can do is help.
Yeah, it's that's absolutely true. I know some guys that just don't seem to. I don't know if they don't know how, or they just not fully invested in putting that work out there, such as posting on social media. And that's one thing that I find, it's a free advertisement. All you have to do is click that share button, or you just have to upload a video or cut a promo. It doesn't cost any money, and you're going to bring in extra people to the show. Which just seems to be a fault a lot of times in independent wrestling, which is kind of aggravating at a time, because I love supporting independent professional wrestling, and to me it's fun. It's the backbone of the industry. I click the share button for a lot of stuff, especially in our area, and I love it. But it seems like sometimes, and I'm not just gearing this at anybody in particular, I'm just saying that it could be a problem in wrestling in general.
Yeah, and I find myself guilty of that sometimes. I find myself doing that. So that's part of the reason I bought this thing here, hoping to get better at it. But like I said, not only with wrestling and everything, but technology is not my strong suit. I'm kind of an old soul that way. I didn't really get a whole lot of exposure to that stuff growing up. So,
did you grow
I'm
up?
Still kind of learning.
Did you grow up on said farm?
I did not. However, my family was not much into electronics. It was go outside and we'll talk to you. We'll be in time for dinner kind of thing. So I don't think I even started playing video games till I was in high school. I didn't even know how to work the controller. I didn't know anything. So I was really behind the 8 ball.
I did grow up on a farm, or old farmland, I should say. And my parents, in Woodbridge, Connecticut, there was an old farm out there that we grew up on, and it's pumpkin patches and corn and all that stuff. And we were forced to go play outside. And mind you, I hated it as a kid. I just wanted to sit inside in the air conditioning. And we went to the ball field. We played baseball and all that.
There you go.
So it was a lot of fun. I was also a lot lighter and thinner at that time period in my life. So,
yeah, I was the same way.
So,
I was outside. I enjoyed it. That was all I knew as a kid. So,
yeah,
we had our fun, and everything worked out.
Yep. Well, Hunter, I want to say thank you very much for joining in here today. Of course, you're going to have to come back one of these days soon as this show progresses and as your career progresses. I'd love to have you back.
Absolutely, man. This was a blast. Thanks for having me.
Wrestling fans, promoters, wrestlers, and anyone who enjoys pro wrestling now have something new to be excited about. The Wrestling Fans International Association, the WFIA, is back. WFIA is an association that exists to promote, grow, and support professional wrestling throughout the world. Membership is free. Your membership includes a free digital bi-monthly publication of the Wrestling Fan News newsletter, association updates, voting privileges, and much more. Please go to thewfia.org, that's THEWFIA.org, and become a member today.